Okay. Welcome, everyone. Anybody here for the first time to Shabbat class? First time to Shabbat? Okay. Good. But, by the way, you know all the videos are being recorded and they're put on the website for those who miss a class. And the classes aren't consecutive. So even though this is the end of the Shabbat series, it's obviously not the end of the Shabbat series. And there will be more classes about Shabbat that we'll do. And then we're going to be led into the holidays. So we're going to learn about Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, all the major holidays in a very deep way. For how many people your Shabbat experience has been different by being able to learn meditations? And by the way, the things that we print out, you can bring them with you for Shabbat until the prayer book is available. Okay. So what did we learn last week? Remember what we spoke about? We spoke about what? What were the two songs we spoke about? Lecha Dodi and Mizmor Shir. Okay, very good. Do you remember the three attributes we spoke about? Because we're going to learn three more attributes today. Remember, how many attributes are there? 13. Okay, so how many did we learn? 3. Okay, what were the three? No, what was the first one? What is it one attribute of the Creator that if we had this attribute, if we use this attribute, we'll be happier? What was the first attribute? To share. That was the third one we learned, to make everything good. When I'm short-circuiting, the Creator, to offset my short circuit, brings a lot of light. He surrounds us with a lot of light in order to balance the darkness we create. So it means that every time I'm short-circuiting, every time I'm making a mistake, in reality, bless you, in reality, what's actually happening? There's a lot of what? There's a lot of light. So when a person goes down into his guilt, his sadness, his depression, he's not taking advantage of all the light. Like, for example, we made the analogy once that if all of a sudden, a ton of cash fell on your head, and it hurt you, and you kind of got dazed, and you're surrounded by all this cash, even though you're slightly in pain, you're not going to sit there and be a victim and call your friend and complain about how something hit you in the head. What are you going to do? You're going to start collecting it. You're going to start to realize, okay, I was hurt, but there's wealth all around me. Okay? What was the second one we learned? What does the Creator do? When we insult the Creator, what does He do? He bears the insult. He takes it. Right? Can you think of a time that you were hurt or insulted? Okay, this week? So what does the Creator do? He bears it. He doesn't suppress it, but He bears it, and He says, I'm going to wait until he changes. That's the mercy. He gives the person time to change because he knows he's going to change. He takes it upon himself. What was the third one? Mary said it. He makes everything good. Meaning, you see someone doing a short circuit, you see someone eating a lot of food, and they're it's like gluttony, and they're eating. How can you make that good? They're eating to what?
They're eating fast so that they can eat with someone.
Okay, yeah, they're eating fast because they quickly want to go share, so they're trying to get the food out of the way. Understand? You have to make a positive excuse for something that you see that is negative. Okay? Now, we're going to learn three more attributes. I want to share more and more attributes because all of Shabbat is about the 13 attributes. You'll see that we need the 13 in order to climb. And in the third meal of Shabbat, the reason why it's so powerful, more powerful than any moment of Shabbat, is because the souls connect to this realm called the 13 attributes, like the full 13 attributes. That's why the men, when they go to mikveh, when they go to the pool of water, before the third meal, they're supposed to do 13 dunks to prepare their soul for the 13 attributes that comes in, that is on an extremely high level. It's so high, the third meal of Shabbat. By the way, when does the third meal of Shabbat occur? in the evening, Saturday night. Okay, so we're just jumping to Saturday night real quick. The third meal of Shabbat is so high, there's only time that you reach a higher point is on Yom Kippur. Okay? Only on Yom Kippur. One time in the year. Okay? What's higher, Saturday night or Friday night? Saturday night. Okay, very good. What's the connection most people come least to? Saturday night or Friday night? Saturday night. Very good. For some reason. Okay? All right, 3 more attributes. It says that the Creator, because each one of us are like the children of the Creator sees each one of us as like a relative of the Creator. And in the same way, most of us anyways, wouldn't want one of our relatives to be harmed, most of us. The Creator feels all the time, actively, that He doesn't want people to be harmed. Okay? So for example, it's an amazing type of consciousness. You see someone, and you actively tell yourself, I don't want this person to get harmed or hurt. That's one of the attributes. That you're always awakening within yourself, I don't want this person to go through pain or to be hurt. I don't want it. I really don't want it. The second one, the fifth one. He never allows his anger to stay for too long. Many times in the Bible you see that the Israelites did things, or that Moses did things that made the Creator angry, but that his anger soon decreased until it was no more. And in fact, it would switch in a second. Many times, I remember one time seeing that the Rav was angry at someone, or it appeared that the Rav was angry, and the Rav started to scream at this person. So like an hour later, we had a study with the Rav, and I asked the Rav, it appears as if the Rav is angry. Is that what's happening? And the Rav started laughing, and he said, if I was angry, you would see I wouldn't say a word. But I made it appear as if I was angry for this person. So it's the concept of each one of us, when something goes on, or something happens in our life, and we get angry. It's okay to get angry, but it has to get less and less very quickly. It's interesting because it doesn't say that the Creator doesn't get angry. It says that the Creator gets angry, and his anger slowly does what? Decreases. So it's an attribute of the Creator, someone whose anger slowly decreases. Okay? And the sixth one, the Creator looks for and is happy when He sees people doing merciful things to each other. Okay? Merciful things to each other. So when you see someone in the community or your friend doing an act of sharing, do you actively get excited about it at that moment? If you can get excited about it, if you can try to get excited about it, bless you. You're connected to the light of the Creator at that moment. Just by getting excited at people doing acts of sharing and mercy. Okay? All right. Take a good 30 seconds. Share the 3 concepts with the person next to you. Go for it. Okay. The next secret, I'm very excited about it. I want to know if you're excited about it. You don't even know what it is. You don't even know what it is. When I learned this, I'm learning many new things as I'm preparing for the class. And I spoke to several different people about it. And each one gave me a piece of what they knew. And what's interesting is whatever that person gave, he didn't know about all the other pieces. So it was an amazing experience connecting to different people. And I also spoke with our astrologer, Rachel Schwartz. She told me amazing things. And I'm very excited. I want to share it with you. So we have these 2 worlds, right? The world of the light and the world of chaos. As we've learned about it, it's also the realm of Bina, is the world of light. It's the world of desire to share. And corresponding in the world of chaos is the world of what? Malchut. Okay? So while Malchut is like the 1%, that's the 99%, Bina is the 99%. Now we said that Shabbat connects us to Bina, because Shabbat is Shin Bat. Shin, the letter Shin, has 3 points connecting to the 3-column system. 3-column system, which is all the light. Bat means the daughter, which is Malchut. So the light is going into Malchut, which is Bina is going into Malchut. That's what Shabbat is. So if Bina corresponds to Malchut, Shabbat has a word that it corresponds to. And it says that this word represents the negativity that controls the day of Shabbat, right? So there's a negative force, a klipa, right? Klipa is a negative force that controls Shabbat, just the same way that a positive force, Bina, controls Shabbat. Okay? Bina controls Shabbat from the positive side, and Malchut controls it from the negative side. But there's a word that we used to name the negativity. That word is called Shabtai. Shabtai. Shabbat and Shabtai. Shabtai is the name of the negativity. Okay? Now, what does Shabtai mean in Hebrew? What does it mean? Saturn. Saturn. What's Saturn? Planet Saturn. Hence the name that the world gave, without even realizing why they gave it, Saturn Day. Okay? Now what is Saturn? Saturn, you know how many rings it has around it? 7 rings. Interesting, right? 7 rings. Now you know why. Saturday is a negative day. It's a day that's connected to the klipa for most of the world. If I choose to connect to Saturn Day, that's what I'm going to experience. Malchut, the end of the week, the bottom, the 1%, Saturn Day, which when I spoke to our astrologer, I didn't tell her about any of these things. I just said, what does Saturn mean? She told me it means Malchut. It means limitation. It means destruction. It controls the month of Capricorn. Capricorn is all about physicality, earth, limitation, heaviness. That's what she said, without telling her anything else. I just said, what is Saturn? When you see Saturn in a chart. She said, when you see Saturn in a chart, it means they're limited in that area. She said something. I said, why? Why does it mean limitation? So she said, the planet of Saturn is actually, the temperature is good enough for us to be able to live on it. So it's not, the core of Saturn is not a problem. The rings are made up of rock and ice, and they're going so fast that it limits the planet. Nothing can go in and nothing can go out. It's stuck. It's stuck. It's like a force field around the planet that keeps it contained. 7 rings, right? So it's a choice. It's a choice at the end of the week, and it's a consciousness. It's just a new type of consciousness, because you'll see that one of the things that we do, which is lighting the candles, you know, we light 2 candles, it's actually, we meditate to remove the klipa, the negative shell called Shabtai, to remove the influence of Saturn from our lives completely. To remove the influence of Saturn from our lives completely, which is limitation. So one of the meditations we have on Shabbat is to remove anything that makes me feel heavy and stuck. And it's probably interesting also for a person to see where in their personal chart they have this force of Saturn. Okay? Well, what are the signs that are controlled by Saturn? Capricorn and Aquarius. Okay? Capricorn and Aquarius. The whole idea of a person who's being controlled by Saturn is he needs to learn how to break the rings. 7 rings, and he needs to learn to break through. So the energy of Shabbat is removing the rings, being the 7th day to remove all the rings from a person's life. Okay? I'll take a moment really quickly to share that concept with the person next to you, and we'll give out another handout right now. Okay. Raise your hand if you found that meditation exciting. Did you find it exciting? Yeah. Very cool, right? Now, one of the reasons why we wanted to share that is because it's very important to make a choice before you come to Shabbat, just to actually know what you're choosing, because the knowledge is the connection. It says that Adam knew Eve, and that's how they conceived, because the knowledge is like a spiritual intercourse. That when the more I know and I use my consciousness in the right moment, I establish a flow of energy. So if I'm choosing Binah, I'm connecting to Binah. I'm connecting to Shabbat. I'm choosing Shabbat. That's why we say Shabbat Shalom. I remember Yehuda Berg would always tell me that he never would go a Shabbat without calling the Rav and Karen and saying Shabbat Shalom. And I always thought it was a courtesy thing, but he said there's an energy to it. To say Shabbat Shalom to someone, there's an energy that's being transferred. It's like you're choosing Shabbat and you're not choosing Saturn day. Okay, you're not choosing Saturn day. Very important. It's all consciousness. All right? Now, the next connection I want to talk about is we shared how one of the things that it's very good for women to do before Shabbat is to light 2 candles. To light 2 candles, okay? And the simple explanation is it helps a woman attract her soulmate, and it also helps a woman, if she's already with the person, to build the relationship and to build the love, okay? Now we're going to learn the meditation and the energy why, okay? Now, if we look at slide number 4, we'll see this dimension, the structure here of the 10 dimensions. We have Keter, Chochmah, Binah, the upper 3. The big circle is Zeir and Pin, and the small circle is Malchut. Now what happens on Shabbat is that little small circle Malchut climbs through all the spiritual worlds, as we've learned, and it goes to this place right here to be one with Zeir and Pin. So there's like an intercourse that happens. The Zeir and Pin is like the male. It's our upper soul. Remember our higher soul? Each one of us has an aspect of our soul that stays up in the upper worlds that never can get damaged. So no matter how many mistakes I make, no matter how selfish I am, no matter how bad of a day it was, the only part of me that gets damaged is this lower soul called Malchut. It gets damaged, but every week it goes up to charge itself with the higher soul. Okay? This is also an allusion to Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve. Man and woman, Adam and Eve. Okay? It's going back to before the sin of Adam, when all the chaos started, when all the tikkun started. Now, what is the significance of man and woman? It says that every soul that comes down to this world gets divided into a male soul and a female soul. And they come to this world, and through the spiritual work that they do, they can earn each other. Okay? One of the ways to connect to that before Shabbat is through the lighting of the candles. Why? Okay. We look at slide number 5. a man has 248 bone segments in his body. A woman has 252 bone segments in her body. That's one meditation. Okay? What does it mean? If the man and woman come together, 252 plus 248 is 500. The numerical value of candle is 250. So if I have 2 candles, I have 500. So when I have 2 candles, I'm meditating to bring the male and female soul together. Okay? Soul. I'm not talking about body, I'm talking about soul. Most people look for a body mate. It's the body that looks good, the body that feels good. You know, Rav Ashlag says, by the way, which is interesting, Rav Ashlag says that this world is the world of opposites, meaning if something is really good in the beginning, it's bound to be very chaotic later on. Doesn't mean it's not for you, it just means prepare yourself, you're going to have your challenges later. And if something is very bad in the beginning, it means somehow it will be converted to a blessing later on. Most people look for something good in the beginning. That's what their desire to receive is attracted to good things. Now, it's not to say that we shouldn't look for good things. But when all I am willing to accept in my life is, it's got to be good now, it's got to feel good now, it's got to feel right now, I'm bound to make wrong decisions. Because the world of opposites. And that means that sometimes when you got the difficult client, you got to take the difficult client. When you got the difficult phone call, you got to take the difficult phone call. You have a difficult morning, you got to take it. You got to accept it, you got to be happy about it. Because if the only days I'm going to be excited about are the days that I'm excited about, then guess what? I'm probably not going to be excited about a lot of days. Right? I'm reactive. We'll be sad. We'll be very, very sad. So that's one of the meditations of the candles. Now, you have a handout. I want you to go to this side of the handout that has the box with the meditation. Up here in the English, there is the simple explanation which we just explained. All right? Then we have the blessing with the transliteration, so you can say it. Now, women, it's very important, and one of the must things that a woman should do is light the candles before Shabbat. No matter where you are in the world, to light 2 candles with this blessing. A man, now I heard different things and I need to check, but I know that it's also good for a man. I heard to light 1 candle, a man can light 2 candles, but a man should also do the same thing. I heard that it was good to do the same thing.
David, if you're off a few minutes from the actual start of Shabbat, I have heard people say that it doesn't count. Can you speak a little bit about that?
I don't want to get into the rules, the halakha, because I also would have to look it up to be completely accurate. But one of the questions was, when do we light the candles of Shabbat? Okay, I want to double check because I want to give you the whole broad spectrum of it. But the idea is that there's something called candle lighting, which is 18 minutes before sunset. Okay, so you can do it even before. You can do it even before candle lighting, before the 18 minutes. But it's good to do it around the 18 minutes. Okay, I'll try to get more information to give a better picture of what to do. Okay, now these are the meditations here. You see these meditations? There's a bunch of Hebrew letters that are combined together. This is very important. This may not be that exciting when you look at it, but this is called a yichud. Can you say yichud? Yichud. A yichud, or in plural, yichudim, are meditations that the Kabbalists would put in their mind in order to generate massive amounts of energy. Okay? So there's certain thoughts that we can have that generate energy. And we can use them whenever we want. For example, what's one of the most famous yichuds we know about? The Tetragrammaton? Well, not exactly. Yichud is when we combine names together to create. So it's one of the names. How about the 72 names of God? The 72 names of God is a combination of different letters and different names that create Yehudim. So every time I meditate on the 72 name of God, I'm generating like an atomic bomb of energy in my mind that I can send via the Hebrew letters. Very powerful. The more names that I think about all day long, the higher my consciousness will be, and the more powerful my consciousness will be, and the less vulnerable I will be to falling. I will be less reactive, and I will generally feel more balanced within myself. Also the Ana B'Koach. Now, let's learn where this Yichud comes from. Slide 6. Okay, that's slide 6. Explains the concept of Yichud. Slide 7. Now, the letters are a little bit rearranged, but bear with me. They're backwards. The letters are backwards, okay? Because the font is off. Now, this name here, the Tetragrammaton, up here, you see that? These three names are male energy, male. They are the name of God that gives. So every time you see this name in the Torah, in the Bible, the Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey, it represents a creator that's giving and merciful. So you'll see that when the creator is happy in the Bible, quote unquote happy, that name is being used. But when the creator is not so pleased with the people, you'll see that a different name is used. These names start to be used. Aleph, K, Aleph, Hey, Yud, and Hey, or Elokim, Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yud, Mem, or Adonai, Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud. Okay? By the way, all these letters should be reversed, just so you know. Okay? These are female names, because female represents which column, right or left? Left, which is judgment. And those names, which are all the same, represent the right column, which is mercy. Okay? So one of the things that we're doing, we want to combine all the names of sharing and judgment together. And if you look at the names, you look at the meditations, all of these names are interlaced together like this. Okay? And they create a yichud that combines all the male energies in the world and all the female energies in the world. So we are not actually helping with our own soulmate. We're bringing the light and vessel together in the world. We're bringing soulmates together. We're meditating on relationships to create mercy. It's one of the 13 attributes that we need, that we're going to love, that we love people. That we love people to be happy. We want people not to be hurt. And we're putting them all together. So that's one of the meditations that we scan for soulmates. But it's not just, oh, I want my soulmate. This is desire to receive for the self alone, I want. Every time I start with I want for myself, is desire to receive. So I need to use this yichud, and then it all of a sudden becomes for the sake of sharing. Okay? Any questions? There it is. That's the yichud right there, slide 8. Yeah. Yes, 2 candles. Each candle represents numerical value 250. Now, what do you think is the numerical value of all those letters combined? 250. 250. 250 for one side, 250 for the other side. That's also what's really interesting. When you combine all the names of God that are male names and female names, you get 250, which is, again, candle. What's interesting about a candle? That I can take 1 million candles and use this flame and light all the million candles, and what happens to this flame? Stays the same. That's the power of soulmates, by the way. Soulmate energy is when you don't take from the other person. When two people are constantly looking on how to add to the other person. If one side feels drained, it means I'm not living up to my soulmate relationship. And that means sacrifices all the time. It says that a woman's sacrifice needs to be that she does everything and anything in her power to allow her man to connect to the light of the Creator. Whatever that, it's not about being a doormat or being the lesser one or being the odd one out. No, it's actually being the one that chooses, that makes it possible for the man to connect with the light. Whatever he needs at that moment to connect with the light, to make it easy. Not to just take up his time, talk to me, all these things. It's about making it conducive to connect with the light. Now, what's the man's responsibility? The man's responsibility is to always make sure that the woman feels amazing. No matter what. Why is it funny? Okay, so it's to feel amazing. What does it mean? It means that a man can never criticize a woman. Ever. No matter, can't even hint at it. Can't even hint in a relationship about a criticism. It says that whatever you see in the woman that you do not like is merely a reflection of you. Because we know that the man is the one that has the tikkun and the woman does not have the tikkun. The woman is just there to help the man. So anytime, and you would think it's like almost impossible, but anytime the woman is doing something that's bothering the man has to just take it as a lesson that is a reflection of him. Now, what does that do to the man? It builds his light tremendously. And if he never punctures his vessel, what's his vessel? The woman. If he never punctures the vessel called his wife, he now has a powerful vessel by which to manifest more light. So he becomes wealthier, he learns more wisdom, he becomes happier, etc., etc., etc. The number one reason why a man feels he's not happy is because he's ruining his vessel called his wife. Okay? Very, very important. Okay? All right? That's also a meditation. Meditation of soulmates is to support. Like the candle only supports. The candle takes nothing. And even when the candle receives from another candle, he doesn't do it in a way that it drains the other candle. It's always about consciousness. What's going on here? Am I draining? Am I taking? Am I giving? That's the powerful connection. Okay? Take a moment. Share the concept with the person next to you. Go for it. I don't want to get into the deeper meditations of the candles, but if you flip the page, amazing, amazing secrets of what's happening when you're lighting the candles. Okay? Very, very advanced. And if you notice one thing, it says that the candles should be made of oil and not wax. Now, if you don't have oil, you can use wax. Okay? So don't worry, we use wax sometimes. But oil has a very unique power. Every time you see the word oil in the Zohar or anywhere, it represents what's called Chokhmah, or the light of Chokhmah. Okay? The light of Chokhmah, light, Shemen, light of Chokhmah, or the light of wisdom. Okay? Now, what is the light of wisdom? The light of wisdom is the most powerful direct light that a person can connect with. Okay? And on Shabbat, we want to connect with the light of wisdom. We want to connect with the light of wisdom. Well, during the week, it's advised to restrict the light of wisdom. But on Shabbat, we want to enjoy the light of wisdom. That's why on Shabbat, it's good to eat well, dress well, spend as much money as you want for Shabbat. It said, the Ari says that any amount of money you spend for Shabbat, the heavens will give you double the money. You don't even question it. It's especially good to buy food for Shabbat or anything for Shabbat on Friday, before Shabbat. Okay? So anything that has to do with Shabbat, it's good to have in excess. That's what light of wisdom is. It's bountiful, it's excess. That's why we use the oil. Okay? That's why we use the oil. Now, something else that's interesting. The first two parts of our soul, the initials are Nefesh and Ruach, which is Ner, candle. So the candle is also helping us connect to our two parts of our soul in the highest way, the Nefesh and the Ruach. Okay? which eventually is creating the foundation to connect to our neshama, which is to become a righteous, to become a tzaddik, to be able to have all our potential revealed. So when I'm using the candles, I'm also meditating to activate all my potential, all my nefesh and my ruach. Okay. Now, also very interesting. We're going to go now to the song Bar Yochai. Okay? You guys excited about Bar Yochai?
Yes.
All right. Bar Yochai. Okay, how do you say Aramaic in Hebrew? You say Aramit. Okay? Aramit. Now, if I change Aramit around the letters, I have Rama It, which means like a cheater, to cheat, like a trickster. Okay? Now, what's significant about Aramaic versus Hebrew? Because look, all the songs that we've done so far have been in Hebrew. All of a sudden now we're switching to another language called Aramaic. Bar Yochai and Kigavna are in Aramaic. Okay? So, what are we doing here? Why? Now, Hebrew is so powerful because it connects us to angels. Angels are very fair, accurate forces that the Creator created in order to balance our world. For example, when you do something good, a good angel is created in order to execute something positive for you. When you say something bad, a negative angel is created, and that angel has to do its negative job. It's very accurate, and there's no deceiving the system. There's no tricking the system. Okay? When we use Hebrew when, how can you explain it? You know, when things are of a normal state of energy, that's when we use Hebrew. When do we use Aramaic? When we want to get more light than we deserve. That's when we use Aramaic. Why? Because will the angels let me have light if I didn't deserve it? No or yes? No, because they're by the what system? The fair. They say, you didn't deserve this light, we're not giving you light. That's fair. So I need more light right now. But I don't want to go by the fair system. So I need to bypass, I need to cheat the angels. So Aramaic is used in order to cheat the angels. Okay? Literally, that's what it is. The angels don't subscribe to the language of Aramaic. They only subscribe or they follow orders in the language of Hebrew. That's the secret. Not in Aramaic. Now, when do we really use Aramaic? Think about it for a moment. Before we open the ark, we're getting so much more energy than we deserve, so we do a song in Aramaic. What is it called? Baruch Shemeh. Every time we elevate from one spiritual world to another, we always do a blessing called Kaddish. We say Kaddish is twice light. Why is it twice light? Because there's one light that comes down, which is called the light of Chokhmah. Or is the light of Chokhmah coming down. What's the twice light? What are we supposed to do to the light of Chokhmah? We're supposed to restrict. We push it back. We create a second light. We create a second light. Two lights. 2 times the numerical value of light, which is, how much is it? 207. Is 414, which equals the word Kaddish. So when I say Kaddish is twice light, Kaddish is 2 times the word light. What 2 lights am I talking about? The light that comes from the Creator and then the light that I push back because I don't want to receive it for myself alone. So I create circuitry when I do Kaddish. And Kaddish is in what language? Aramaic, because the light is so powerful that I create it and I use it to elevate to a higher level. I also say Kaddish for the deceased. At the very end, we say Kaddish for people who have left this world because it's a powerful light to help elevate. It's like resurrecting the dead. We need a powerful light to resurrect the dead. Okay? So, someone's wondering, I get the light, I push it back, but is there another direction that it comes back? You know why we don't talk about the other direction? Because here's the paradox. When I let it go, it goes into what's called my circular vessel. It's a long story, but bottom line is, when it goes back, that's how you receive it. Every time you push it back, that's how you're actually receiving it. And it's the greatest paradox in the world. That when I'm giving something away, I'm actually receiving it. But that's what's happening. Our vessel is being filled with light as I'm pushing away. The illusion is I'm losing it. Yes? Now, I'm sorry? Yeah. What if we're speaking in English? No, in terms of the prayers, in terms of our connections, we use Hebrew. That's why, most places, they just read the English, right? But why do we say, forget about the English, it's better just to scan even? Because scanning is one level of consciousness. Scanning is so powerful. Scanning is actually very, very powerful. Because that is one way that our eyes are connecting with the Hebrew, connecting with the angels. And the more you even learn about scanning, you learn about the angels. If you look at the prayer books, there's names of angels laced throughout the prayers. All right? Now, let's look at this. Let's look at slide number 10, so we can make sense of it all. Slide number 10 talks about, remember which song takes us from the world of action to the world of formation? Which song? Mizmor David. Mizmor, okay? Now, what happens is, you see those, what are those little grimy things? Those are klipot. That's the negativity. When we elevate, what do the klipot do? They want to come with us. So they follow us from world to world. When I go to Lecha Dodi, I go to the world of creation, they follow. When I go to the world of emanation in Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat, they follow. But I introduce Aramaic songs, and the Aramaic now disconnects me from all the klipot. So Bar Yochai and Kegavna, even if you don't know what I'm talking about, write it down. You'll soon connect all the dots when you come to Shabbat. These songs disconnect us from the klipot, and at that moment, after Bar Yochai and Kegavna, now we are in the realm of Shabbat, that energy of wholeness, completion, 13 attributes, amazing blessings, and the negativity has gone away. That's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, slide 13. Okay? Now, let's learn a little bit. We're going to learn the first 3 lines of Bar Yochai. Very exciting. And then we'll learn the rest with the help of God in the next class. Take out your sheets. So the first line that we sing, let's all sing it together. Okay? Bar Yochai nimshachta shecha shemen sason mechaverecha. Okay, very good. That's the first song we sing. That's the English translation. Bar Yochai, you are anointed and praised, drawing the oil of happiness from your friends. What's the oil? Sorry. Chokhmah, the light of Chokhmah, that's oil. What's the oil of happiness? In Zohar Balak, it says Sason, happiness, means the light of the Creator. So we're drawing the light of Chokhmah. Oil of happiness is the light of Chokhmah from your friends, which is basically all of his students. So this first song, every time we sing this song, it means that we're connecting to the light of wisdom. Connecting to the light of wisdom. And it's Shabbat, so we have a vessel to hold it, because Shabbat protects us from receiving direct light. We're able to receive direct light on Shabbat. All right? Next song, Oil of Happiness, Chokhmah of the Light. Okay. Slide 15. All right, are you guys ready to sing it again? Okay. All right, let's sing it together. Malchut. Bar Yochai Shemen Mishkar Kodesh Nihim Shachta Mimidat HaKodesh Nasata Sitzit Nezer Kodesh Chavusha Beperecha. I also am off tune, as much as, very off tune. Okay, so this song, it says, Bar Yochai, the holy oil anointed you from the holy tribute. You carried the tiara of the holy crown on your head for beauty. Okay, the secret here is the tiara of the holy crown. Okay, Tzitzit Nezer HaKodesh. The tiara, now what is that? It says that the high priest, when he walked into the holy temple, he had this crown. Okay? And it says that there's only one man in every generation that could go into the holy temple and draw all the light for the whole world. All the light that would bring mercy for the whole world. And that person was the high priest. And it says that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was on such a high level that he would go to the upper worlds. He was the only one, and he would draw light for the whole world. That's why the Satan asked that he be removed from the world. Because he kept bringing light for the whole world, to the point that nobody earned the light, because Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai kept bringing the light. So it's an allusion to how he was the high priest of his generation, and he would bring light for the whole world. Okay, and that's the Tzitzit Nezer HaKodesh. Okay. So every song has a secret, by the way. Every song has a secret. Now, this is Yesod, all right? Before we move on to Yesod, share whatever you've learned so far in the last 10 minutes, and then we'll finish off with the last line. Go for it. Yes, question. I think then what I meant, all the words are in Hebrew?
No, it's a nice Hebrew, but it's still Hebrew.
Okay, then the secret is that it's Bar Yochai, that it's all the energy of the Zohar that's in Aramaic. Okay? Okay, the Aramaic that disconnects us from the angels is the Kegavna, because the Kegavna is in Aramaic, it's from the Zohar. The Bar Yochai is connecting us to the energy of the Zohar, which is in Aramaic. Not that the song is in Aramaic. Okay? Thank you for correcting me. Did everyone understand what just happened? Okay? Okay. It's the Kegavna that we always announce, disconnecting from the klipot, which means that now we're going to receive the awesome energy of Shabbat even though we didn't earn it. And that's why we're using the Aramaic to disconnect from all the angels to receive the energy of Shabbat. Okay? Yes?
Very quickly, yes, because I've been trying to understand what kind of difference between Aramaic and Hebrew. Aren't they both the alphabet?
The Aramaic and the Hebrew both utilize the same exact letters, but it's slightly different language. For example, if you're an English speaker, you can read in Spanish, right? So, but it's a different language. What's a good parallel to English? Old English? Old English. Okay. English and Old English. Ancient Hebrew? Yeah, I don't think it's Old English even, because Old English, English speakers can understand. It's like a whole nother, I don't know. I'm sorry? Yeah, people speak Aramaic even until today. What country do they speak Aramaic? I think in Iraq. Okay, doesn't matter. Shh, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Next song, next song. Take out your song. Bottom line is, it's two different languages. Where it was spoken, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's go to Bar Yochai. This is slide 16. This is Yesod. Huh? Yes, this is Yesod. All right, let's sing it together. Bar Yochai, Moshav Tov Yashavta, Yom Nasta, Yom Asher Barachta, Bimara Tzurim She'amadeta, Sham Kanita Hotcha Ve'arecha. Okay. First secret is Moshav Tov, a good place. Every time you see the word good, it relates to the realm of Yesod. That's just something good to know. Something good to know. You read in the Zohar the word good, or Tov. Tov connects to the world of Yesod, which is the funnel that brings all the light down. Everybody knows where Yesod is on the tree of life? Okay? It's the world right above the physical world, Malchut. Okay? Now, that's why the Rav would always tell us that Tov belongs to the light, and Tov Me'od belongs to Satan. What is Tov Me'od? Very good. If you ever see something that's very good, it's probably the Satan. Okay? So let's do it together. Tov equals good. Tov Me'od equals very good. That's why the Rav used to always say, don't ever try to make something perfect. You know how people, when they get plastic surgery, you get a little plastic surgery, it's not so bad. But when they try to become perfect, then it's Tov Me'od, right? Why is Tov Me'od belong to Satan? Because Me'od is the same letters as Edom. You know where Edom is? Sodom and Gomorrah? One of the most negative cities in the world. Belongs to Satan. The city of Edom belongs to Satan. Tov Me'od, very good. So that's why you never want to, right when you're trying to perfect something, make it every slight word, every slight letter, every slight this and that, do restriction. Every time you're about to say something is very good, say 1 second, I don't want it to be very good. You want to let go, always from the moment before it's very good. That's how a person can prevent from connecting to Satan. Always to push back the final bit of pleasure. It's the same concept with tithing. Person receives, he pushes back, because it's very good to take everything. It's very good. It's just good when I have 90%. So you let go. And that's why it's letting go of the Satan. The Satan is the Edom. Okay? Last secret for the third verse. An example of very good. I'll give you an example of very good. When all the teachers were sitting around to prepare for the future of Kabbalah 1 classes, They sat for days, all the teachers around the table, this idea, this PowerPoint, all these things. Then the Rav comes by and says, just remember, the more time you're spending on this, if it's good now, very good belongs to Satan. So maybe just let it go and teach what you have right now. Because they wanted to spend days and days and days to perfect every class. And you see, when you get to that place where you try to perfect it, you're actually in a hamster's cage. Right? You know, like people who are editing a book or they're writing a book, and they edit it, and they, no, it can be better. It can be better. It can be better. And the next thing you know, they're just spinning their wheels. Or the plastic surgery example. There's a moment where it's not actually improving the look of the person. Okay? The last connection is the verse, Bimarat Surim, which is cave of rock. Okay, the cave of rock. And it says, Bar Yuchai, he sat in a good place. The day you run and escaped, in the cave of rock you stood to obtain your majesty and glory. Okay? What is the cave of rock? It's the cave that he sat with his son for 13 years and learned the Zohar. Is that where he wrote the Zohar? No. You know that's not where he wrote the Zohar. This is the cave here in Pekin that he learned the Zohar with his son, eating just carob and drinking water, hiding from the Romans, here in this cave. 13 years he learned this wisdom with Elijah the prophet and with Moses.
Wasn't he buried up to his neck?
Yes. Then he went to the Idra Rabbah with 9 other people and he wrote the Zohar. They wrote it down. And how long did it take them? 1 day. Okay? Now, last thing I want to say before we end the class. Cave of Rock also talks about a special cave on Mount Sinai that only 3 people accessed, which was Moses and Elijah the prophet. 2 people. Moses and Elijah the prophet went there to receive the prophecy. Only those 2 people. There's a special cave called Cave of Rock. But it says that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was on such a high level, he also entered this Cave of Rock, which is this cave. This was the Cave of Rock that Moses experienced on Mount Sinai. So that's one of the very powerful things that we're connecting to.